Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have the finals of one of our F&Ms. Avi on an absolute tear with Mono Red Prison, facing me in the finals with Cephalid Breakfast, leading out with a City of Traders, a Chrome Mox, and a Trinisphere, a very dangerous card. Going to make comboing off a whole lot of extra work because you have to pay 3 mana for the Dread Return. Not exactly the streamlined combo. Once you've got the Trinisphere down, all of those little free interactions now costing more than a fair amount. Brainstorm in response. Like Narcomoeba being considered to go back on top of the library, perhaps pitch to force. And yeah, pitch into force. So no thank you to the Trinisphere. Brainstorming again. Not the most powerful brainstorms when you already know one of those cards, but here's an Urza's Saga. A couple of turns later, that can become a Shuko. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Gonna create some value, make a body, get some treasures, card selection, and then eventually flip into, like basically a Kiki Jiki. A Orum's Chant during the upkeep. Prison's not really going to be able to do anything when it's not their turn, so shutting them off during their upkeep with an Orum's Chant. Basically a time walk here. Next turn, Shuko's gonna show up thanks to Urza's Saga, so just need a Cephalid. Go along with everything. That'll be a wrap. Despite having pretty productive turns. I mean, drawing a Force of Will out, Trinisphere, and landing a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Looking like it's not going to be enough here. There's a Saga ticking up, loading some mana. And brainstorming to try and find the Cephalid. Oh, or maybe the Cephalid was already in hand. That's also possible. Now there's a Force of Will joined in the fun. Oh, wow. Just sure. So, Orum's Chant to make sure no spells can be played, and then a Cavern of Souls to make the Cephalid uncounterable on top of it. That's going to be a pretty forceful game one. Cavern not currently in my list. I've actually cut it for Underground Seas. Just kind of feel that Underground Seas a better Magic card than Cavern of Souls right now. Any losses that I've had with this have been fairly few and far between. It's put up quite good results very often. You can trace back any issues that I've been running into with just pilot error. Not always my most accurate. These events. Cavern of Souls does make your Cephalid uncounterable, but it still gets killed by things like Snuff Out, Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, Lightning Bolt, Swords to Plowshares. Really, at this point, I believe that the creature removal tends to be the best way to attack the deck, hence Orum's Chance. Very strong. Flanking a fistful of removal. For example, Pyroblast, one of the absolute best cards against this deck. If your opponent has a hand, a couple of Pyroblasts, some Graveyard Hate, a Surgical, anything like that, that all gets shut down completely by a single or Chant. Card just does work. Urza's Saga, one of those cards that when it got printed, immediately wanted to test it, didn't have the time for several months. But since I've been running it, I've been very pleased with it. So many different ways you could build breakfast. I'm very confident that the optimal builds are going to be 60 cards. I think right now the thing that the internet will eventually catch up on is the number of step throughs. People are on like 2 copies finally. I've been running 4 for pretty much since it was printed. I actually tested that card before Urza's Saga. It was pretty obvious to me that it was going to be absolutely insane. And to that extent, it has been. I mean, you just really don't have a hard time getting your Cephalid plus your enabler together. I really think those numbers are pretty solid where they are, along with the brainstorms and ponders actually making that happen. Now it's a question of defending it. That's the tinkering that's happening right now with the list. Also of note, step through helps beat cards like Leyline of the Void. One of the absolute best cards against that is you can just go ahead and get your Thassa's Oracle and win despite graveyard hate on the other side. We have a turn 1 Nomads. Cephalid was pitched to Force of Will, so this would have been a turn 2 win if it wasn't for this Leyline. Oh no, and there's a Teferi in hand. There's the Cephalid combo on board. Beats and a Trinisphere. Trinisphere does resolve. And no 3rd mana. Fortunately, a 3rd mana would allow Cephalid to stay home. Cephalid has a activated ability. Seldom used. Oh wow. Pyroblast. A Red Elemental Blast stopping Teferi. Card you don't see that much of in these sideboards. Of course, it is a Chalice deck. Looking to get Chalice at 1 down very often. Spoiler there if you caught it. Where this game is going, attacking for 2 back and forth, currently losing the race. Not great to keep attacking here. The Cephalid could hold down the fort. Cephalid's activated ability would allow the Nomads to chip in. Here we go. Getting blown out by a Reader, Sokenzan, Crucible of Defiance. Gonna make 2/1/1 colorless spirit tokens. That's gonna do it. 4 damage, crashing in. Kind of a misassignment of roles, was playing the beatdown, and that is incorrect there. Prison was the beatdown there. Breakfast needed to stabilize and control the game, instead opting to be more aggressive, essentially just removing blockers, paying appropriate price. That is the penalty for misassigned roles in a game. Penalty is a game loss. If you were attacking when you're supposed to be blocking, not going to win very many of those, as Sokenzan adds that little bit of extra reach to wrap up that game and force a 3rd. Happened there was finding the Thassa's Oracle, holding down the fort, potentially using cantrips to dig to find that step through, instead turning sideways. Of course, the risk of using the Cephalid is you might accidentally mill your Thassa's Oracle, depending on how many copies are in the deck. It's going to be only 1 or 2 at this point. That may have just been a risk that needed to be taken. Step through in hand, along with a Brainstorm. There's all sorts of card selection options here. There's the Fable. Storm in response. Arcomoebas getting put back. Happy to get rid of those. Be able to cycle step through end of turn, shuffle them away. Oh, grabbing a Thassa's Oracle. Nope, grabbing a Cephalid. There is no Leyline in play here. And just a matter of a 2-card combo and whatever protection can go along with it. 1 red mana open. Already seen Pyroblast or Red Elemental Blast, not sure which one, earlier. Pause there. Back to the action. Breaker. One work. Really what Prison is wanted is type of effect. It's ramp, it's card draw, card selection at the very least. Card advantage engine stapled on the back end. That's also a threat. A deck that occasionally wins with just 2/2 beats from Simian Spirit Guide, so very welcome addition. Go on board, Cephalid needed. There it is, the Pyroblast, which shuts that down. That's been a couple of spells. 1 mana. Reb. Oh, wow, he's got a Reb at the same time. That's actually very surprising. So a Force of Negation hard cast. That gets stopped by Pyroblast. So this Prison list, despite being a Chalice deck, having a ton of access to 1 mana blasts. Everything turns sideways. What's it gonna be here? Like lethal next turn. Prismatic ending, cycle step through, grab a guy. That would be good. I believe there's an ending in hand. Oh, Dread Return. Oh no, the Dread Return's in hand. Wow, very interesting. So Dread Return is actually in hand, which would be... Oh, this is actually why I made the change. So I'm actually running 2 Underground Seas now because of this exact situation. I recall this now. This is a couple of months ago in April. But yeah, Chalice at 2. Could have just hard cast Dread Return if I had more access to black mana. With this Flooded Strand, could have just tutored up a 2nd Underground Sea. Instead, it's just going to be a wrap here. I don't even know. I think I basically have to draw Brainstorm. Oh, there we go. Oh, it was lethal. Okay. Wow, that's still super close. Excuse me, that's pretty crazy. So if I had one more turn, would have been Brainstorm into Teferi, bounce the Chalice, play the Cephalid. But yeah, that was one of the rare losses for this deck, and it definitely helped push it in what I believe has been a better direction. In assessing it, also a lot of the mulligans that I was having did involve Cavern of Souls, situations where I had, you know, Cavern plus Urza's Saga with like a Ponder, and it just wasn't good enough because I wasn't able to utilize my cantrips. Of course, there are some hands like that where you just have it and you can just, you know, play out your combo on turn 2, and that does beat a fair amount of the format. But ideally, at this point, I really believe that this is about finding the backup, pulling the combo together, really much more doable with 4 step through and the right numbers of both combo pieces. And then on the other side of it is how are you protecting it? Theory, Orm's Chant, counter magic, discard in the form of Cabal Therapy. So breakfast is evolving.